Welcome everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? I know, I was supposed to stream yesterday. And hopefully the day before, but my audio interface decided that it wasn't happening. So, sorry about that. Well, it wasn't all just the audio interface. That was I had some other issues pop up the day before. Like, I generally only have like an hour or two to stream, like 2 hours. Like this morning, I can stream for an hour and a half. And so like if I spend the first 45 minutes not streaming, then it's like, okay, well, I could start streaming now, but it's kind of pointless. That's kind of what happened. Anyways, we have a few things to cover. I'll give people just a little bit of time to filter in. We really only have 3 things. We have to go over the CloudPlex situation. We have I gave names to everything this morning. This was fantastic. Well, except for the releasing of GPT5. But yeah, CloudPlex and Windnition. They just kind of roll off the tongue. It's fantastic. Those are the situations we're going to cover. I guess Cloudflare, you can really do it with anything, because whether you put them at the beginning or end, like you have Cloud and Flare to work with for either half of their name. So they're really the best one to do this with. All right. We'll give just a few more minutes. I guess while we're waiting, I can talk about what can I talk about? What can we talk about? I'm actually looking forward to, we got a couple projects on the docket to start actually busting through. I'm probably going to spend more nights streaming because I just want to get stuff done. Although I have to say, like, that's a hard thing is for these projects when I'm like, oh yeah, I want to stream on them. I'm going to have to find some stuff I can do without streaming, because streaming everything at least slows me down. Because even if I streaming is slower than actually just working on it. So there's always that happy medium. But yeah, I have a couple things that I want to try, and we're gonna do it a scientific way, because we're gonna do it in a way that hopefully helps us understand more at the end. That's going to be the hope. And then we might make a proof of concept that gets completely thrown away, and we'll be okay with that. We might have something that we can take and largely reform into something better, or maybe we have to just rewrite most of it. We'll see. Okay, so let's get into the few things. I had just like... Okay, you know, I wasn't going to include this into the news because, like, this morning, because, like, it seemed inconsequential for the most part. It seemed inconsequential for the most part. Jax, how are you doing? How are you doing? We are covering... Oh, one second, I got my... This is inconvenient. There we go. All right. So we're covering a couple things today. We're gonna do first a little news section. I just have a couple things that I wanted to go over. Wanted to go over them with you yesterday, but my audio interface said no to streaming yesterday. It was very rude. Very rude. We've had a talk. We've had a talk about our professional relationship, and you know, things are better this morning. So that being out of the way, there's just some news that has happened that I wanted to cover. Wanted to let you all know about. Then I wanted to talk about some of the projects we're going to be working on the channel moving forward, because we're kind of winding down the Twitch Wordle, which has been fun, and we're going to obviously spend some time here and there working on, but just way less time. And yeah, so we'll do that. So yeah, actually this morning there's just a bunch of AI news. I don't have like a bunch of general engineering news. We could talk about KYAML, but we're going to talk about KYAML tomorrow. So there's some general engineering news that we're going to cover most likely tomorrow morning on the Saturday stream. But yeah. So, Monta, what's up? How are you? You're fine and on very low delay. Very low delay. That's it's always weird. You don't know, like, people are getting the streams at different delays, and so like some people it will be, and like it depends on where they're at in the world. That depends on their connection, your connection. It depends on a lot of stuff. So like it's very hard to tell how much delay a person is getting. You, my friend, replied, "It's fine," within like 10 seconds, which is way faster than usual. Ah, yeah, the weekend. We all love the weekend. I know my son's not up. I bought him Grounded 2. It's in pre-release. It's probably pretty rough. Grounded 1 released in super rough condition. So I expect Grounded 2 to be in that, but he absolutely loved Grounded. So I got him Grounded 2 in the pre-release. So we're going to probably play that tonight. That is probably what's happening. How we're going to kick off our weekend. I do have ChatGPT5 covered today, actually. What I know of it. Unlike some more prominent YouTubers, I was not invited to their San Francisco office or anything like that. I'm not only a little tardy. I do feel like I work really hard to be one of the leading non-experts of AI. Like don't get me wrong. I don't consider myself an expert on AI, like actually making it. I'm very, very bad at that. And while we are going to hopefully, if NVIDIA actually ever releases the Spark, because I'm still waiting for it to be released. And as far as I know, no one has received their units yet. They said early spring. Look, we're getting into late summer. I don't know if you've used an AI to learn about the seasons. We're getting into like the middle of August is late August, or the middle of August is like the middle of the summer. So past that is late summer. So you only have a few more days before we're into late summer. Anyways, once I get that, I actually want to learn more about training my own stuff. I actually have ideas with things like Merkle trees that and Monte Carlo simulations, where I actually think that you could combine these things with neural networks to actually not only remove some of the bad hallucinations, but also do some pretty cool things. So anyways, I think that there's some cool stuff I want to play around with, see how it works. I don't know how it will work. Probably not well, knowing that I'm going to be doing it, but those are some of the things that I want to do with it, but I need to get it, and NVIDIA has not been forthcoming with providing it. All right, let's jump into it. If you are a prominent AI company that is building tools around AI, one of the things that you should really watch out for when you provide release notes that I'm going to try to cover is don't write it with an AI. Don't do it. Like, I know you want to. I know that's like your dream goal, but like, we believe that all agents will long more like this in the future. This is not the only mistake throughout this article. Either there was no proofreading, or they literally had an agent spit this out. I'm not entirely sure, and it was obviously it's a little rough. So, anyways, they built an open source asynchronous coding agent. I don't know how useful, I don't know how good it is. I actually think that it's pretty cool because this aligns somewhat to something that I want to do. So I'm going to get to see some different code on the topic, and we'll get to design ours coming in some of these upcoming streams, which should be pretty cool. This just made me really upset and angry. How a research lab made entirely of LLM agents develop molecules that can block a virus. There's so many things wrong with this title, and this is what eats away at me for the FUD and the fear and the hype. There are so many lies in this title. I will call them out. Towards data science, there are a lot of lies. First off, if you go just beyond the title, a team of autonomous GPT-4o based agents led by a human. So the first lie was a research lab made entirely of LLM. It wasn't entirely LLMs. It was a human that had an idea. If you read into it, they had an idea that they worked with these agents to work on. And then it says agents that develop the molecules that can block a virus. Turns out, again, just in the first sentence, that's experimentally validated based off of some AI models. So we don't really know that this is true either. So basically, nothing in this first statement is true in this title. I highly recommend, at least they had the goal to contradict it right in the first thing. If you read on, it gets no more interesting, and unfortunately is the state we are in right now. It's kind of sad. People want to get up on that hype. Pesky humans, yeah. Don't end up like Fireship. I don't know what Fireship does. So super, super cool. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I don't know. I can tell you that he probably gets more views than I do. So I don't know. I don't know. All right. What I really wanted to cover was there is something started with Cloudflare and Perplexity, which I think actually has a bigger impact on the industry. And I'm not going to come here and tell you what the right answer is to this because there's actually some interesting arguments on either side. My gut instinct sides with Cloudflare, but there's some interesting arguments on the other side as well. So I wanted to provide you guys what happened and kind of the base bones of what's going on. So earlier this week, and I was going to talk about this, and I kind of am happy that I waited because this allowed Perplexity to respond. Earlier, Perplexity is using stealth, undeclared crawlers to evade websites' no-crawl directives. So we are observing stealth crawling behavior from Perplexity, an AI-powered answer engine. Although Perplexity's initial crawls from their declared user agent, when they are presented with a network block, they appear to obscure their crawling identity in an attempt to circumvent the website's preferences. We see continued evidence that Perplexity is repeatedly modifying their user agent and changing their source ASNs to hide their crawling activity, as well as ignoring or sometimes failing to even fetch robots.txt files. So, what we know right now is my head's too big. My head is too big. All right. So that was the initial thing coming out, is basically this. And then they go into how they tested it, and what they were seeing, the obfuscating behavior that they've noticed coming from Perplexity. Multiple test domains explicitly prohibit all automated access by specifying in robots.txt. We actually covered this a little while ago, what they were doing with this, and specifying WAF rules that block crawling from Perplexity's public crawlers. We observed that Perplexity uses not only their declared user agents, but also a generic browser intended to impersonate Google Chrome on macOS when they declared crawler was blocked. So this is their declared one. This is the one that they've registered with. That is their Perplexity crawler. And then this is their incognito one that is not declared here. Both their declared and undeclared crawlers were attempting to access content for scraping, contrary to the web crawling norms as outlined in RFC 9309. This undeclared crawling utilized multiple IPs not listed in Perplexity's official IP range and would rotate through these IPs in response to the restrictive robots.txt policy and block from Cloudflare. So these are a few little things that Perplexity doesn't do a good job of answering right here. Is basically one of the things that they don't respond to, which I think is very important for them to respond to, because they kind of shift the conversation. And I think it's a good shift where they shift it to, but it's not a good shift because they don't actually respond to the controversy. Because what happens is they make a request with this, it gets blocked, and it immediately changes to the stealth one when it gets blocked, which basically says that they were trying to do it with this agent. When that doesn't happen, they decide to do it anyways. But they bring up a better, or they bring up a different a different thing. We'll get into that. So anyways, you can go read this. It's interesting. It's an interesting, what's the terms of service? What, I don't know what terms of service you're. I don't know which ones you're asking, but so then they go on to how well-meaning bots operators respect websites' preferences. We're talking about robot.txt and things like that. So, there you go. Go read that. That's what they released. Now, Perplexity did release a report, a retort, a reply. We'll go with that. They came back with a reply that I thought we should cover. Thank you for this blue bar. But there's no X to close it. All right. So agents are bots making sense of AI on the open web. As the internet evolves, so too do the ways in which we access the internet with information. In the earliest days of the web, automated bots played a simple, well-understood rule: indexing sites for search, checking links, or scraping data according to clear rules set by website owners. But with the rise of AI-powered assistants and user-driven agents, the boundary between what counts as just a bot and what serves the immediate needs of real people has become increasingly blurred. This is the part I think is a bad take, in my opinion. I do believe that we should have the discussion on what they bring up. I do believe that this is a bad take because, for example, the reason what they basically go out and say is, let's draw this. What they basically go out and say is that Google goes out and scrapes your website for X, Y, and Z. So this is your website. So they go out and scrape your website, and this would be a bot. All right. So this would be a bot, but you then have a user that comes over here and accesses your website. This is just a standard human user, and they access it. And they're saying that it's not really whether it's a human that accesses, it's whether it's a human powering the request that accesses it. That's what Perplexity is proposing here. And I'll tell you why I'm not sure that that is a great comeback in this. Now, I do believe that it brings up a very interesting thing that we haven't talked about. And really, Perplexity wasn't talking about this, but I was reading between the lines. And this is what I'll put it as: non-browser human using the internet. Now, maybe I'm reading too far between their lines and their argument is just crap, but I'm going to put this category that's accessing your website. Now, what I find really interesting here is that in this discourse here, they're saying that if a human is wanting to access your website, they should be able to and not be counted as a bot, even if that user is a bot, right? And the reason I think that this is a bad thing is I could make a scraper right here. Merrick's awesome web scraper. And I could have this thing scrape your page every single hour. Let's write this out. Scrape page every hour to check when price drops. In fact, there is a bot that already does this right here. that will already scrape a page every single hour to check when a price drops. You put in what price you're looking for, and you're looking for a sale or whatnot, or if you're looking for inventory that's back in. There's bots that do this. And the thing is, I'm a user, I'm a human. I want it to do that for me. Okay? I want it to do that for me. But it should still behave like a bot. Nobody wants those bots. Look, Perplexity, there is some human that kicked off, that deployed its web scraper. There is a human that wants it to do that. So the fact that a human wants it to do it has no intent on whether it's a bot that's doing it or a human clicking on the web page. That's the current underlining thing. And that's why this doesn't really matter here, is because their whole argument says that everything should not be labeled as a bot, and nothing should. So we really cannot go with their definition. Now, what I do have to say is it got me thinking, what about people not using a browser? Like, I think that there's a legitimate use case here where you have agents that do stuff for you. Now, I think that this is something we haven't really thought about. I think that it requires more talking about. I don't think shady, not a bot things are the right. This is what I don't think going in stealth mode is the right thing to do here. I do think that this is the wrong. But I do think that there should be a way for these things to do it. I don't know exactly what that is right now. But yeah, that is what's going on between Perplexity and Cloudflare right now. They're kind of shooting some shots at each other right now. So I wanted to let you guys know. I think it's an interesting issue. I think it's an interesting issue that we haven't really talked about as a community. We don't have an RFC that really defines it very well. Right now, I definitely am more conservative in where I side, which means I would side more on the Cloudflare side. They should declare themselves as a bot. And you know, it would suck if you tried to have an agent do something and it was like, hey, this website said it doesn't allow bots. And then, like, that's what, in my opinion, that's what should be responded to the AI agent is no. And then the AI agent can respond with, hey, this website doesn't allow Perplexity bots. Done. Now Perplexity is saying these shadow ones here don't actually scrape their data. That's also another point that they have, that their data is only retained for that response, that whatnot. The time to live on data doesn't really matter, right? So their argument there is because we only hold your data for 6 minutes or whatnot, or just for that request, doesn't actually really affect, because then you're just using the other website as a database. You'll use their database for whenever. It doesn't really matter. They also make the statement that it's not used for training. Again, it doesn't really matter. In my thing here, where I was scraping the page every hour, it wasn't used for any type of training or anything like that. So again, Perplexity kind of is missing the whole... Did I lose internet? It does not appear so. I have a cat that just knocked over the internet. Good job, bud. Good job. That was impressive that I didn't lose internet. I've lost internet for less. So Perplexity is kind of missing the big point on what constitutes a bot on the web right now, and what rules we play by with those bots. So anyways, that is the whole drama there. Let me know what you think. What do you think? Leave a comment. Leave a something. Am I missing something? Probably. Not an expert here. Oh, you're gonna come over here now that you knocked over. Wait, no, don't click on that. Don't. Stop. Stop. Okay, you are causing problems. Causing problems. Yeah. Oh, you decided that you'll just stick around? Perfect. Perfect. Okay. We might have a cat. He has this floofy hair. It gets everywhere. He's not a long-haired cat, but his hair's floofy. That's for sure. All right, let's get off the desk. You're causing mayhem. All right, let's get into the next thing. We just have a few more topics to cover, and then we're gonna get into some coding. We're gonna talk about some projects going ahead. All right, so I believe I made this drawing for you all not that long ago. Not that long ago. Windsurf got some whiplash. They got some whiplash. So there was, well, let me just reshare the drawing with you all. So this was the drawing. We covered the timeline of Windsurf and their deals. So OpenAI basically tries to make a deal to acquire Windsurf. And I can almost guarantee you that they are wishing they had gone with OpenAI, at least the 200 employees. I know that on July 11th, Google takes their top talent and their CEO and founder for $2.4 billion. It was an acqui-hire. They just hired away the people for a butt ton of money. And these people are happy. These people are happy. These people are not so happy. So Cognition closed its acquisition of the startup's remains, so about 200 employees. When they did this, they did this. They released this Cognition's acquisition of Windsurf, and they released this. And so, what exactly is the deal with the acquisition? Cognition will own Windsurf's beloved product and strong business. They talk about how Windsurf's IP, including their trademark and strong brand they've built, their 82 million of reoccurring fast-growing business, blah, blah, blah. Above all, we are welcoming some of the most impressive people in our industry, including world-class go-to-market, engineering, and product teams. We've long admired the Windsurf team and what they've built. One of my top priorities in structuring this deal was to honor their talent, hard work, and accomplishments in making Windsurf the great business it is today. To that end, Jeff and I are working together to ensure that every single employee is treated with respect and well taken care of in this transaction. Specifically, now, I don't know about these things here. So if you're talking about, this, I don't know. What does it mean when we'll participate financially in this deal? 100% Windsurf employees will have vesting cliffs waived for their work to date. I'm assuming they mean that the shares that they had in Windsurf would vest immediately and they would be paid those out, whatever Cognition paid for this. But I don't know that to be certain, because sometimes how these can happen is that they'll get Cognition shares for their Windsurf, but that's probably fine. Windsurf employees will receive fully accelerated vesting for their work to date. This could mean a couple things. This could mean a couple of things, and I don't have any information to say that this didn't happen. But what I want to talk about is, above all, we are welcoming some of the most impressive people in the industry, including these things. We've long admired the team. Is treated with respect. Okay, so these are words that happened. And then Cognition, an AI coding startup last valued at $4 billion, has offered buyouts to around 200 employees from Windsurf, which is about the number of Windsurf. They've laid off 30 of them, not even a month later. Or about a month? Yeah, not even a month later. So a month, not even a month later, they get rid of 30 of the 200 employees. So that's more than 10% of the employees. And then the rest of them, they'll give 9 months. They have until Monday. And CEO Scott Wu told staff they must either take the offer or commit to an intense work culture, including 6-day office weeks and 80-hour work weeks. Now, for a company touting its AI, this seems to be quite extreme, in my opinion, because you're saying your AI can do all of these things. It seems a little weird that you must have them in the office doing the things. You're almost admitting that your AI isn't very good, in my opinion. Now, that being said, I also wanted to lay what a 6-day office week looks like, because I heard a lot of people referring to this as the Chinese 996, which is 9 to 9 at 6 days a week. But I wanted to actually point out that this is not that. This is actually worse. I have worked an 80-hour week. An 80-hour week is very, very tough to maintain for a long period of time, even if you love what you're doing. 6 days a week at over 80 hours a week. Well, I just did the calculations for 80 hours. What that means is 13.3 hours per day. Now, if you're working in, let's say, California, where their offices are, that means every 5 hours you have to have a meal break. So you have to have at least lunch, dinner, and actually probably another meal break. It's not clear to me 100% on the laws there, because I think they wouldn't have to, because they're not working 15 hours, they're working 13 hours. So they were working 15 hours, they'd have to have another meal break. But at 13.3 hours a day, you have to have, by law, 2 meal breaks that are half an hour long. So that means that we have 30 minutes for lunch and 30 minutes for dinner. That means that you're at the office for 14.3 hours a day, assuming no travel time. So assuming that you live close enough that you basically are in the office, because at this point, that is basically what you're doing. If you have travel time, there's going to be more. But that means in the office, you'd start at 8:30 a.m. and go to 10:45 p.m. If you started at 9, you'd be there until almost midnight. 6 days a week. I just want to point that out. Because I think, 80 hours is rough, and some people will be like, oh, well, I classically work 50 hours, which is whatever. I classically work 50 hours. And I definitely have sometimes 60 hours. 80 hours, I've only done a few times, and it is rough. So to try to do this, kudos if these people are actually doing this. When I was younger, maybe this is how they get rid of the older people. I'm not entirely sure. But 80 hours a week is a lot. Especially to hold up doing that for ever and ever. Like, to do that for 6 months straight. It's like, don't get me wrong, I'll do an 80-hour. Absolutely. I don't really keep track of my hours, but there was a couple weeks ago that I probably pulled an 80-hour. There's sometimes when stuff goes wrong and you just got to get work done. That's what happens. But this, I'm going to go back, is treated with respect. I don't know. I mean, realistically, you'd be starting at 7. Okay, you don't have kids and work at Windsurf, right? If you start at 7, you'd still be getting home at 9:15. I apologize. You'd be leaving the office at 9:15. If we're talking about when you'd be leaving, let's say it's good. And a lot of people don't do this because San Francisco is really expensive, where their office is really expensive, and so they can't actually live close. So, but we'll assume a half an hour. To get in at 7, you'd have to leave at 6:30, and you wouldn't get home. So if you started work at 7, you would leave, or you would be done. So that'd be an hour and a half. So at 10 or 9:15, 9:15 plus 30 minutes would be 9:45. So realistically, it's a 6:30 to 9:45. You don't have children. You don't have children that you see. Your children should go to bed before this. You don't see them on Saturday. And that's assuming a half an hour drive time. I also worry for these people's health, to be completely honest. I believe that this has a lot of long-lasting health implications. And not only that, but I don't think that you're getting your best work cognition staff. Like, I would strongly argue that you're not getting your staff's best work, especially if you're pushing this, right? So yeah. I don't think that you're getting your best staff. You know, there's people that are passionate that are going to be there 80 hours. Like, if you're the owner and founder of a company, you might work 80 hours on the normal, doing a bunch of stuff for the company because it's your passion, it's your baby. It might be your baby. Like, you might not have much else. And I understand that. But to expect normal employees, I think that's rough. Capability snob. They could employ more people if they have that much work. I 100% understand. I agree. I am making this right now to call them out, like, to state that that's their expectations of your time. Hire some more people. And I realize that hiring right now is difficult. Hiring talented people is difficult, and that's a difficulty that we have to deal with. It's rough. It's rough. So anyways, I feel bad for the windsurf people. They've kind of gotten a little bit of whiplash as of late. But yeah. Just realize that it's your childhood. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, people do it to support their children. People absolutely do it. But it's not necessarily what we should strive for, right? AI was here so that we could work less, right? That's been the promise. So far, this is interesting. This is a very interesting thing. I have found that people that employ more automation do more stuff, but hire more people. So, like, for example, Tesla does a ton of automation in their factory. Like, a ton of automation. If they can, they've automated it, period. They still hire a lot of people. They still hire a lot of people. They actually just, yeah. Anyways. All right. The very last thing the very last thing that I wanted to cover today was, before we get into, like, just some future programming and stuff. Earlier this week, I almost reported this, and then, well, I didn't get to stream. OpenAI's new ChatGPT5 models were kind of leaked early on GitHub by a mist type thing, but they are now released. Now, that being said, it's kind of a weird release because it's not in its documentation yet. I can't use them. This actually annoys me to no end, because if you have a free account, I actually have to say that it feels like they took some of my advice on some of the things that they could do, because it looks like ChatGPT5 is going to be one of the cheapest models to date, because the free people are being pushed onto GPT-5, right? So it's definitely the most cost effective, in my opinion, when somebody does that, when they're forcing the free tier onto those things. And I would also contend that it feels like they did a lot of things to remove the AI from the AI. Now, I don't super love this video because it doesn't actually go into Theo, I guess, has had the ChatGPT 5 for a bit now, which I didn't get early access to. I'm a little annoyed about that, but he doesn't really get into it, which I would have liked to have happened. But supposedly, even from what he has, is that they took out the AI part of it. It kind of acts more like a robot. It acts more like just a thing that does very simple, very direct things, which I think is fantastic. I think is really, really good. I think is what a lot of people have been realizing, is that making it more and more like human. Like, I have said this from the start, trying to make computers like humans kind of ruins the whole point of computers. Computers have always notoriously been these highly accurate, highly correct systems, and trying to make them more like squishy, fleshy humans, I think, was just a mistake in that. But it feels like from what I could gather out of this, what I could gather out of other people that were given it early, it feels like they've taken that approach where they've actually stripped a bunch of stuff away, made it way simpler, put guardrails on stuff. And I almost guarantee you, and this has been something I've said for a while, is that these AI models should be like handling the edge cases. And really, you should have other statistical analysis maybe on top of and after the model to streamline it and make sure not only for correctness, but also I said correctness, but also to make it cheaper. Like, if you can do statistical analysis beforehand, you can do before the expensive part. I think that there's actually like a ton of opportunity there to make it super cheap. And it kind of I don't know. I wasn't at their office. They haven't invited me there, but it kind of sounds like that's what they're doing. But if you asked Sam Altman, ChatGPT 5 is super scary, just like ChatGPT 3. ChatGPT 3 scared him to no end. ChatGPT 4 did. Now, it's funny, as ChatGPT 5 is coming out, 4 was kind of dented. And it's kind of funny, when 4 was coming out, 3 was kind of dented. It blows my mind. You cannot believe a word that they say because they cried wolf every single time that they release something. So, do I know what ChatGPT 5 is like? I have absolutely no idea. We're going to have to test it. We're going to have to try some stuff. Tomorrow, we're going to run it through last year's Advent of Code just for some kicks and giggles. We're going to see how well it does with Advent of Code, because I found out a way I can use it. While my paid OpenAI account doesn't have ChatGPT 5 access, my Cursor account does. Thank you, Cursor, for half sharing a secret. It's not actually a real secret, but thank you still. Thank you still. I can. So we're going to try it through here. We're going to see how well it does. We're going to see if the claims from videos like this hold true. And yeah. So join me tomorrow if you want to see that. Your Copilot account does too after multiple restarts. Super cool. That's like super awesome. I don't hear. I don't hear. I've refreshed multiple times. No GPT-5. Can I share some real secrets with you? Absolutely. Russell, we're getting scammed. We're getting scammed. What blows my mind is the reason Sam Altman said that they're slowly releasing ChatGPT5 in here was to make sure a smooth release, which makes sense. You roll it out slowly. I mean, like that actually is just good software engineering practice. Like I have no problem with that. This is the feature flag. You're slowly enabling the feature flag across accounts as more people leverage the model. You make sure that you don't bring the model to its knees. No problem. But giving every single engineer on the planet the ability to pass really big files, like the amount of context that you pass in with a chat is not much. Even if you copy and paste something, not a whole lot of context. Like you can ask it anything and paste in a whole Wikipedia a whole Wikipedia page, and it's not that much context compared to asking it about a code base where it goes through 20 different pages to read in all of the code, plus the question I asked, plus the stuff that it grepped from the README, plus the context. So it doesn't make sense that the small things would be the things that were last. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Now, the thing that I have to say from watching these and whatnot, it seems like ChatGPT 5 is actually really, really heavily designed for coding. And the reason I say that is they actually have a ChatGPT 5 chat, which kind of implies, and people have said, I've watched a couple of people that were given early access to this, that it actually really sucks to talk to. Like it's not a very good conversationalist, which again, I think means that they stripped it down a lot. I honestly think that they took ChatGPT 5 and said, like, look, we're going to make you do one thing and do that well, which I think is really, really great. I wish that, I mean, if I got to go to ChatGPT's headquarters, OpenAI headquarters, I would have some more information to tell you, like what they did differently. There was no information on what they did here, which was what I was kind of hoping for. Why do this? No. All we got was, can it name skateboarding tricks? Which it did fail to name skateboarding tricks, some of them, but it did a pretty good job, which it means it's going to be great at programming because it can name skateboarding tricks. I don't know. That but it's out there and we're going to do stuff with it tomorrow. We're going to see if it can do the advent of code tomorrow. I don't think it's a completely fair to do it through here, right? If we're talking about here, I don't think it's completely fair because this is actually leveraging it through an agent, and I've said that cursor agent, like we actually have proof of this. Claude 3.5 didn't do didn't successfully do the first two parts, but Claude 3.5 Sonnet did do the first two parts in Cursor through the last AI games. So the AI, the agent mode, like actually brought value to it. And so since I cannot test it on its own without the agent mode, I can't tell you whether it's GPT-5 being amazing or if it's the agent mode being amazing. So that's like my one caveat to it. We're going to test it. We're going to try. We'll see. Russell, you lied to me. I've been refreshing. You guys watched me refresh. It hurts me. They're scared of me. They're scared of my in-depth analysis and reviews. They don't want me testing their AI. They don't want me testing it. That's That's the new theory I'm going with. Now that everybody else has gotten it, they're scared of my review. Do I have the app? No, I don't have the app. There's a Linux app. I can look. I'd probably install it. Oh, is it a? Oh, wait, no. Okay, Windows. Oh, it's a Chrome extension. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm on Arch. By the way, I'm on Arch. By the way. Yeah, Nighthound. I do believe that's what's happening. That's the only logical thing that I could come up with, was that they pretty much wanted to keep it out of my hands. So come back to Troubleweed. You know where? So I'm actually the curator of the nickname Troubleweed. I actually created that initially. I say that communication is one of my biggest weakness, because it is, because that's the truth. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm worse at it than other people. I just have some slip ups, and there's times where I don't always communicate as clear as people of my caliber, right? So when I say that communication is my biggest weakness, I'm comparing myself to other people at my level in my career, at my place in life. Okay, that's where I'll put that. My communication is my biggest weakness. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily bad at clearly communicating complex topics. I tend to think that I do an okay job at it. Whatnot. Anyways, Troubleweed comes from kind of the same thing that happened with aerospace. Like almost 100% the exact same, except this was in written communication. And if you guys don't know, SUSE uses internally, they used IRC, like they didn't have like Slack or something like that. And the chat ad agent I had didn't have spell check. And if you don't know this about me, I can't see. A lot of people will look at a word and be like, "Oh, that word looks wrong." I don't have that. So for some reason, one night, I was typing a very long message about issues, and I mistyped it as Troubleweed while I was talking about its issues. And people didn't realize that it was just a mistype. Like, they thought that I was literally flaming it as Troubleweed in this, which was embarrassing because I did not mean for it to be that at all. My rant was about issues, but like I actually generally liked Tumbleweed. But I accidentally mistyped it as Troubleweed and didn't notice because, like I said, unless if something tells me it's misspelled, nothing looks bad. Nothing looks wrong to me. Zipper is... Look, Zipper is one of the best package managers out there. 100%. I would die on this hill as of a couple years ago. Zipper is the best package manager I have ever touched. Even when it was slower, like, what did it matter? You don't package manage that much. And the amount of slowness it was, and I know that it's gotten way faster. The amount of slowness that it's gotten, or that it introduced, really was meaningless, in my opinion. Zipper is a fantastic piece of tech. I do like Zipper. I do. All right, that was it for the news. I did want to cover some of the stuff that we're going to do. So I'm going to be doing a lot more programming. I have some projects, and I'm going to throw them out there. I don't mind if the community wants to get in on them. These are things I want to learn, though. So I'm going to be kind of heads down in them. And I kind of want them to exist as a whole anyways. So I'm gonna create them, and we're gonna talk about how we're gonna create them. We're gonna actually document it pretty well, because I want to create these things before the AI games. And one of the reasons is we're going to leverage ChatGPT5 to try to create as much of them as we can, as fast as we can, for a couple reasons. One of the things that we're going to do in the AI games is review these AI generated stuff, and look at it from like a security standpoint, look at it from a maintainability standpoint, and some of those types of things. And I know some people will be like, oh, maintainability doesn't matter because now you just have the AI regenerate it. Maybe, but the problem is when something does happen, the more maintainable it is, the less you'll have in context. Because the people that are saying that, oh, it can be 1 trillion lines of code, you don't care, it's just the AI. Well, that's not entirely true, because that's part of the context. And one thing that I've noticed is AIs don't do well with exponential context. So actually keeping it small, tight, and needy is important. Needy? Not needy. Small, tight, and neat is really important, because. So there's actually 3 things that I want to create here soon. And I know we'll still work a little on the Wordle. I still want to do the Dungeons and Dragons, so we'll do those whenever we need a break. But those will just be like our fun thing. Like maybe we'll do a half an hour on. We'll implement a little feature here and there, and I don't know. We might try to finish up the Rust class before we kick this off. But I want to kick this off the start of September is basically my goal, is to wrap up everything else and really bust out these September and October and November. AI games will be running in December. So the first thing that I want to do, as long as you have amazing testing, you might be all right with regen or AI fixes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility. It's something we have to play around with. Like one of the things that I'm really wanting to understand is, can I engineer stuff in a way to make things safe? I don't even know what that means. Like, I know that I was super vague, and I meant to be super vague, because I mean, like, what things? Like, I'm sure that there'll be things that can be safe, but what are those? And how would you engineer the things in the right way to make those things safe, right? Like, I'm not sure, and that's what I want to experiment with. Like, I don't know what those things are. We need to play around with it a little bit, and that's what we're going to try to do a little bit. We're going to try to leverage some of those things, and we're going to try to do it. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know, and I need to spend more time. Like, one thing that I've been kind of feeling is that I haven't we haven't divined deep enough into these topics, and I don't know enough about them. I feel like I do a lot with it, but I don't know enough yet. So I really need to know more. And so we got to do a couple projects, and that's what we're going to do. That's how I learn, is by doing a couple projects. The first one is I want to build an AI agent. And you're like, oh, but why would you want to do this? Well, I've created a few AI agents, but I actually want to create one that's a long-running agent on your machine. And what I want this one to be is, I want it to be this cursor. Basically, I want a headless cursor that allows client applications to create sessions. So this will have like a session management. So you could actually have multiple clients connected to the same one. This isn't for like hosting on the web. This is merely for like context management and whatnot that would connect to this. And what this would allow us to do is, one, it would allow you to have the AI agent in whatever IDE you want, from NeoVim to VS Code to whatnot. The agent would sit here, and these clients would create sessions, and those sessions would be kept separate from the other sessions. So I think what would be really cool is you could have like 3 different chats about the same code base going with this one AI agent. So we're going to build this AI agent, or we're going to attempt to build this very, very quickly, leveraging ChatGPT5. If it holds up to its hype, like, really cool. It's something I want. Basically, what's going to happen, and this is my plan, I don't know if this will work or not. I'm going to try to soft vibe code these things with ChatGPT5. We are going to work together on the architecture. We're going to work together on planning documents, and then we're going to try to get the agents to actually do the things. And we're going to try to make this thing, we're going to see how that works. Worst case, then, it doesn't work. Come the AI games, we're going to make it for real, because I want this for real. I literally want to make this thing for real, because I want to know better what's going on behind the scenes with this. And one of the ways to do that is actually to build the thing. So we're going to build it, whether it's good this year or not. It's probably terrible this year, but next year, maybe it would be cool. Maybe it would be cool. Would that be similar, if not the same, in terms of clients as A2A that Microsoft is pushing? A2A. I don't know what A2A is. Agent-to-agent protocol? No. No, this is like having an agent talk to another agent. That's not what I was trying to describe. What I'm trying to do here is basically make a coding agent. Like, how do I prompt and do context and grab that in to do like inline editing and whatnot that's editor agnostic, right? That was my idea here. This isn't an agent to another agent. This is just a client leveraging the agent, because this is just going to be an API, right? On your computer. I've seen agent to agent stuff, where it's like letting agents do stuff with other agents. I don't have a thing for this right now. So the client provides access to the files and the chat box to accept the user input. Yeah, right. So basically the client would drive the agent, right? So like, I don't know all the I don't know all the stuff yet, but this is the idea, is like, I wanted cursor, like, if you're asking me, the idea is cursor without a IDE, right? Like, I want to build cursor without an IDE. I don't want the IDE there. I want people to bring their own IDE and to be able to build their own UI on top of it. So we're going to build a UI. We're going to build one for NeoVim, and everybody else can bring their own on their own platform. That was the idea. Headless cursor. My gut feeling, like, we might get into this, and my actual hope, you know what would be a great learning thing, is we put tools. My gut is that tools exist here. Okay? This is my gut. But maybe we get into it and we're like, no, tools exist here. Or maybe we get into it and we're like, no, tools exist in this third thing because that's the safest way to do it. So my gut is that tools would exist here. But I'm open to 100% of ideas because I'm not sitting here as the expert here. I am sitting as I'm going to learn this. And so, yeah, backseat a little bit if you like. Don't expect me to go with everything. I'm just going to be experimenting and trying. This is what I'm going with initially. At least that's my thought, is that tools sit back here with the headless part. Yeah. I don't have an agent-to-agent project yet, but I would love to do one. Like, we'll create this agent. This will be an agent. And I am 100% okay with trying to call another agent, right? Like, even if we don't want to keep it, but making it able to call another agent, sure. Like, why not? Whatever. Don't know, don't care. Like, it will be fine. It's a place to learn. It's going to be a place to learn. Oh, we could have an agent that builds context. Are we microservicing our agent here? You know, we have like a context agent. And then we have like a prompting agent. That's actually not a like internally having multiple agents that specialize. You could even, like, obviously we're not going to do this, but you could actually train a AI not on English or whatnot, but actually like selecting the right context. Like, you could even make this like a actual specialized AI. That's actually a cool thought. I took it for real. Anyways, so headless cursor, we'll just call it headless cursor. That's the first thing that I want to make. I think it will be a really good learning experience. I think that I'm also going to try to do it. I'm going to try to learn with the AI. It's one of the things we've been talking about is, can you learn with the AI? I know that if I did this by hand, I would learn a ton. And what I want to see is if when I start doing it with the AIs, is if I can get where we're all learning about it. Like, that's one of the things, because like it's actually a topic where I don't know nothing. We've obviously made some of these ourselves, but I know very little. I'm comfortable in saying that I'm not the leading expert in this. I'm very comfortable saying I'm not the leading expert in a lot of things, actually, to be honest, including being the leading expert on anything. So I want to see that. You all got GPT-5 and I still haven't. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I am so angry right now. I flip and pay for it. Sam, look, Sam, I'm not a leading expert, but I do a lot of work. I thought we were buds. I know that you don't respond to my emails, but I email you like buds. I tried to text you. I don't know why you changed your number. Gotta look out for a man. For a brother. Sam. He's always playing hard to get. Anyways. So this is I'm this is something I want to start working on as soon as I get that class done. We might even play around a little bit with it. I feel like there might be some tomorrow because I want to play around with ChatGPT5. So we might even start a little bit tomorrow, but I am going to force myself to finish the Rust class 100%. I've got to do that for other people. We're definitely going to be doing this. The other thing that I wanted to learn and do is I wanted to make making agents easier. And I've always wanted to make the Null cloud, and I don't have the time. And I think that there's a lot that could be done there. But it's something you never get funding to actually do. So, like, will I ever actually get to do it? The answer is probably not. Especially right now when all funding goes only to AI. So whatever. Can't do that. The other learning thing that I wanted to do is around AIs, but isn't directly an AI thing. So we have the headless copilot. And then the next thing that I wanted to do was simple AI agent creator. I want to make a simple AI agent creator. Maybe a little bit different than a lot of people are thinking, because I actually want to make this something that people can leverage and run and interact with things in the internet. And so basically what I want to do is I want to leverage Wasm. And this is going to be a huge learning. So the things that I want to learn here, I like, let's put these down here. Let's do this. I want to learn how to build AI agents and make it easy. I kind of know how to build AI agents, but I mean, like, do it well. Like, what are the caveats? What are the pitfalls? You know, when too often when we learn how to do something, it's like, hey, we learned to ride a bike, but we're not good at it. We don't do it efficiently. We don't do it safely. Do you wear a helmet? Do you wear knee pads? Do you wear, a hockey uniform? I almost couldn't remember the name of this. I was like, the L-shaped stick sport. Do you wear, like, what is a safe way of doing it? You don't know those things necessarily. So easy and safe, maybe is a good one. So I want to learn those things. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make it approachable. So one of the things that I think currently suffers is you can go and build these things, but my wife wouldn't know how to make a website. Even if she asked this thing to make it her a website, that, like, she wouldn't know the right things to prompt an AI to do. You'd still need to be an engineer. I want to make it approachable to my mom being able to use. Like, that's my bar, is if my 80-year-old mother can leverage this, I have successfully done it. And my no fault of her own. She was born in a different era. She doesn't know computers, and that's fine. Still love her, especially if she actually watches this. If I said anything else, I'd be in a bad place. So I want to make it approachable that she could actually leverage it. And then I want to learn Wasm better. And how to leverage Wasm with AI. HTMX. So what does this look like? In my head right now, what I really want to do is I want to, and I think that this is maybe terrible. So, please look, anything that I do, please feel free to mock at least a little. This simple AI agent creator, what I want it to be able to do is basically, not that at all. Basically, I want you to have a dashboard like this, And then I basically want you to be able to drag on what we're going to call events. New video or and new YouTube video. Let's just let's see, new X post. Let's come up with another event. Just some event. Starts to rain. So basically the idea is that you can have these events and there'd be a bunch of integrations. And then you can run these would have inputs like a new YouTube video from somebody you subscribe to or a specific channel. And you want, you know, on these events that happen, you want certain things to be able to happen. So you want to drag out nodes. And this will all make sense in a second. So this is your basic DAG. I get it. You guys are being like, DAG, you're wanting to yell DAG. See you, Russell. So it's kind of like a DAG, but you could run an AI thing here if you wanted to, is the idea. And there'd be a bunch of these canned nodes that you could do. We would make a bunch of nodes, and then like you could output to an integration. And I'm drawing this really simple. So some integration out here. And you could output stuff to that. All right, so why this would be interesting. One, I think this would be fun. I would love to do stuff like on new YouTube videos, like to post stuff to X because I'm terrible about doing that, and to my social medias. So like what I would love is I would love to post a new YouTube video, have an AI do something. And now I know I could program this system. I could do that. Don't get me wrong. I could even program the system to post the video. But what I'd like to do is make it where it's easy that my mom could do it. Where my mom can make a new YouTube video, or when I post a new YouTube video, she could have something post on X or something stupid. That's the idea. And what I want to do, because like this is all good and stuff, but you lose a ton of power, right? You computer software nerds are out there and you're like, what if these nodes were WASM? What if you could run any WASM module? And people could share their WASM modules. There would be a way of defining input and output and those types of things. But then it would be basically a generic workflow runner with the ability to build nodes out of WASM and share them. I don't know. This seemed cool to me. Will it be good? I don't know. I don't know. I have zero ideas whether it will be good or even feasible. Scott, DB, Scott B. I don't know what that is. Is that an ad? Oh, thank you, Capability Snub. I thought that this would be really cool. Just like a drag and drop. I actually thought like there would be a web interface, like a drag and drop, or you could like just do it in JSON or YAML or something. Like, because really this is just a graph. So like this graph should be able to be described in text somehow. I don't know how that should be right now. Whatever the easiest way to define a graph in text. The other thing that I thought of that might be interesting is the ability to do something like this where in DAGs, this isn't allowed, this cyclical thing. And I almost feel like a while loop Now, while you could do a while loop in your WASM code, having a while loop in your graph, because again, these are just AI agents that we're trying to build from a UI that work off of events, like whatever events. I just posted random stuff, but this could be like new PR. Like you want to run some stuff on a new PR. You want to scan the PR. You know, you wrote an AI thing to check PR, and then you want to post on that, post that it's good. Post that it passed or failed. This would be really cool to be able to just set up with the drag and drop. But it'd also be really cool to basically make a way to define this in code, these DAGs. Anyways, that being said, I thought that these loops could be really powerful. So it's not actually a DAG. I don't know what to call this. It's not a DAG. It's a... It's a thing. It's a thing. I don't even know if this will work very well. I don't know. Oh, you were improperly thinking it was... It's fine. Maybe it would be. I don't know. I don't really need storage, especially like 10 gigabytes, like doesn't even hold a video. So it's not very much for what I use. All right, and then we need to create one other thing. And I know this is another reason why we're going to try to leverage AI to bust out the initial proof of concept. So like I said, the initial proof of concepts, we're going to try to build initial proof of concepts leveraging GPT-5. So we're going to try to leverage GPT-5 to build the proof of concepts up to December. So we're going to try to have working proofs of concepts of all of these things by December. Because one of the things that we're going to do in the AI games is we're going to do code review on pieces that have been written by AIs to understand how they're doing it and better understand how we can safely leverage AIs. That's like the goal of some of this. And the other thing is to prototype something out like this and see, can we get this to work? And if we can get it to work, do people find it useful? And if people find it useful, maybe we'll spend the time to make it better. You know, we'll build the crappy... I kind of think of it as this way, like I used screws to build a crappy piece of furniture to see if people liked how it fit. And then when people are like, yeah, then I go back and I bust out the fine woodworking tools to build a real thing. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. But we'll see. Anyways, the last thing that we need to create, we have one last thing that we need to create by December. So I have no lack of work here. I'm actually going to be streaming more evenings and I'm going to try to focus on these things because I need to. The last thing that we need to create is AI Games Arena. We've never actually pitted AIs head to head against each other playing games. And that changes this time. We're making this. And basically what it is I want to, I made this way too big for some reason. The AI Games Arena is basically the idea is that there's like this game and maybe we make multiple games. For example, this could be chess. And what we do is we build a way for GPT-5 to be player 1 and this one to be player 2. So, you know, this would be like, I said Claude. whatever. We'll do Sonnet. I know how to spell that. Claude, Sonnet. And basically a way for them to play these games head to head. So basically, what will happen is this will have instructions that it gives the AI on its turn. It will say, here's the board. Here's the JSON structure you have to return to me to do your turn. And so basically then this will test this will actually test a couple things that I think are really, really interesting, because it will test the ability for them to well structure their response to play the game. It will be cool because we'll get to see them playing a game competitively. Like the game will actually switch between AIs and them getting to make their moves. And we're gonna start out with maybe checkers and then do chess and then whatnot. And we'll come up with other games to play. So that was kind of the idea, was to build this thing that can automatically be played by two AIs, which I think this would just be fun. GPT-5? Yeah, it just released. Oh, tic-tac-toe. You're right. The first one will be tic-tac-toe to war games. We'll pay homage to a classic. So these are, as soon as we finish the Rust class, these are the things we're going to do. We're going to build a headless cursor. Again, this is to learn how these things work. It's not going to be perfect. This is all about learning. We're going to then do a simple AI agent creator, because I think this would be awesome. I actually think this would be a cool thing. I would use it if it existed. And then we also need to build the AI games arena with at least tic-tac-toe. And yeah. And we'll try these with ChatGPT5, even though my buddy Sam hasn't given me access yet. He's scared. He's scared. Let's refresh. Nope, still don't have 5. He is scared of the ultimate AI getting in his hands on GPT-5. Anyways, I have some regular engineering news to cover tomorrow with you all on Saturday morning. So if you'd like to join with that. After that, we're going to play around with GPT-5, because I at least get access to it through Cursor. And so we're going to give it a shot. We'll try making one of these projects tomorrow, because I know I said I'm going to finish the Rust class. I will finish the Rust class before I really dive fully into these, but I got to try it. Okay? I got to try it. I got to give it a shot. I got to see how good it is, because everybody's saying it's so good. We're going to try it on some stuff. One of the things that we're going to do you guys remember the advent of code, the advent of AI code challenge that we did in the last AI games? I'm going to give it a shot at that. It's been public, so I'm not sure it's as good, but we're going to give it a shot at that, because no AI was able to handle the third request. So anyways, but a few did get through the first 2 stages. So we'll see if this one can. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for me today. Somebody said that they hope that I'm not becoming the next Firebase. I think that was an insult. Am I becoming the next Firebase? I think not Firebase. Fire something? Fireship? Fireship. I think that they're a YouTuber. I think I've seen something like that. Hopefully, you guys enjoy what I do. Hopefully it's not bad. Finish the test with global thermonuclear war. I love the words thermal nuclear war. Like, you know what? I was watching. There was supposedly, and now this was actually an April Fool joke, but there was supposedly a 7th Star Wars movie. There was supposedly a 7th Star Wars movie, and I went to go see it. Again, it was an April Fool's joke. Don't actually go. It's like if somebody takes you cow tipping, it's because you don't know better, and you go out because you think cows sleep standing up, but they actually lay down to sleep. It's only horses that sleep standing up. Anyways, so yeah, if that cow is standing up, it knows that you're coming because it's awake. Anyways, go cow kid. There's also snipe hunting. There's a bunch of these things. Anyways, that's what the 7th Star Wars movie is. It's an April Fool joke just to get to people that don't know better. Moving on. I went to see this, and they talked about. So they're in this hoax of a movie. They have a star vacuum. It goes up to a star and consumes all of its mass, which, I mean, is ridiculous in its own right, but it consumes the entire mass of an entire star. So it was as big as the star to start with, and then it gained all of the star's mass, and we won't talk about physics here, but so we're going through star vacuuming. And then as this fighter is going up, he's like, it sucked up the sun. It must have thermal oscillators. Do you know what those words are combined? Like, I know what a thermal oscillator is, but like, because I sucked up a star, the thing we went to was thermal oscillators. I just took that heat and sloshed it back and forth gently. I get it. You don't want that heat to sit still. You got to keep it moving. You got to keep it happy. Anyways, whenever we talk about thermal nuclear war, it's like, yeah, no duh. We said nuclear. Like, like, I know it's a thing that's said, but it goes to the same thing. Like, okay. We added a big word. That it's thermal. Anyways, I'm gonna be done for today before I say something even more stupid than I have already done so far. Thanks everybody for joining. I hope to see you tomorrow to test some stuff out. I gotta go get. I have to go get to work. Another day, another fantastic. Now everybody's posting in Discord their access to GPT-5 because I don't have it. You guys are the worst. You're the absolute worst. You guys. Gosh, you all are trolling me. All right. Well, anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks everybody for joining. I super appreciate you joining this early morning, and see you all tomorrow. This is from regular nuclear. The energy comes primarily from fusion rather than fission. I don't think so. Right? I would disagree with that. Let me make sure I'm not. This is my understanding of that. So like the difference between fusion and fission is just the direction of the reaction, right? In theory, I know that it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I know that, but my problem is the word thermo, right? And if you define thermo, it is relating to heat. So thermodynamics, and like when we have thermodynamics in chemistry, it was the relation to heat. So when you say thermonuclear, the only thing that you could say is when we're referring to heat, and both fission and fusion have heat, relate to heat. So in my mind, it's redundant at best. And now you guys have baited me. I realize this. I'm going to move on. I have to go to work. I will tell my boss that I got hung up on talking about what the word thermo means in the Latin, because I barely speak English, so I should be an expert on Latin. So anyways, you all have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.